Like Purdue, it's just an example. Purdue losing to Fresno State is okay. We still win the Big Ten West. But me,
Billy Napier gets fired. I'm just kidding.
really the best time of the year. I will be seated watching the Red Zone for 7 hours on Sunday. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to a new episode of Backyard Banter. That's Tanner, James, Johnny. Another epic weekend. We're gonna go straight in. So much football, and we're gonna start with college. We're gonna start with the game of the week. That was kind of a snooze fest, to be completely honest with you. Ohio State 20, Penn State 12. I mean, we all picked Penn State, actually, so we're all fault. Let me give you guys some stats here. Drew Aller, 18 of 42, 191 and a touchdown. Not good.
Not good enough.
Won't get it done.
No.
Penn State, 49 rushing yards. Not going to get it done.
Enough, no.
And it's not like Ohio State was any better. Kyle McCord was much more efficient than Drew Aller, 286 and a touchdown. But they both averaged around 2.5 yards a carry. But, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., 162 yards and a touchdown.
He's so good.
So good.
He's just a difference maker on that side of the ball.
Chicago Bear.
And he could be. But this game was just defense, right? And
Defense.
it was defense pretty much the entire game. You watch this, you look Penn State, Ohio State, you're like, okay, this could be either a defensive grind or they could air it out because let's not forget, like, Penn State does have dudes on the offensive side of the ball. And they have had dudes for the last couple of years. But, again, I'm just not super impressed with that Ohio State step. But that defense is so good. And they're so good up front.
When was the last time an Ohio State team leaned on their defense?
Yeah.
Not in my memory that I can remember.
Which is crazy because now they don't have that elite quarterback.
Yeah.
I felt like this game was just a mid-off at quarterback, like an absolute mid-off.
Oh, yeah.
I was hoping nobody would mention their defense because that was my point. I think Ohio State's defense has been, like, it's not under the radar anymore, but it's been, but up until this point it was quietly an elite defense in college football.
Yeah.
We'll see. Ohio State, man, they got some big games coming up still, even though it's Penn State. They just played Penn State. They have more down the road, so we'll see with them. I think they get a much-needed bye week.
And
next week, they got some injuries.
I know they play Wisconsin coming up.
And then a bye,
I mean, just a gritty win for Ohio State. And shout out to Ryan Day. I mean, we're seeing it with Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley has not been able to adapt and change. That's why USC sucks. Well, there's multiple reasons, but that's one of them. Ryan Day went from airing it out, having all these dudes, to now they're defense first.
Yeah.
So it's a shout out to him, man. Them winning that Notre Dame game on the last second, just gritty. I mean, we used to say that Florida State had the two best wins in football, and college football going to Clemson, but Clemson lost again. And LSU. I mean, who has better 2 wins than Ohio State right now?
Yeah,
At Notre Dame
and
Penn State.
It's got to be.
I mean, it's big time.
Yeah.
Anything else on this game?
No, it was more boring than I expected.
It was boring. Even Gus Johnson couldn't make it. He's awesome. Gus Johnson.
It was more boring than I expected, but I knew this game was going to be good. But I'm really looking forward. I mean, it's further away than expected, but that Ohio State Michigan game is setting up to be
well, Michigan
an incredible.
Michigan goes
game.
to Penn State.
They did
first.
Yeah.
Penn State, if I'm not mistaken, was 1 of 16 on third down.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Well, we talked about it last episode. The ability for Franklin to not win on the road.
Yeah.
In big games like that.
Hasn't done it. And Ryan Day moves to 55-0 against anyone not named Michigan in the Big Ten.
Pretty incredible.
I want to talk about the Bama-Tennessee games.
Do it.
What we saw in the second half from Bama is what we saw from Georgia in these games. They completely turned it on to another level. And I was watching the game and I was like, Tennessee's not turning over the ball. It is just domination, 3 and out, 5 and out, whatever. And it was incredible. Jalen Milroe can't complete a pass within 10 yards, but God forbid he throws a bomb.
40 yards.
He's money.
Right in the breadbasket.
He's money. And they were able to run the ball. Big Mama had over, that's his last name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their running back had over 100 yards.
Yeah.
I'm just very impressed with Bama.
I feel like Tennessee didn't even come out of the second half locker room. Like, they didn't score.
No.
Outscored 27-0.
Yeah, it was reminiscent of the game a week ago when Miami went into Carolina, and you're like, all right, Miami might pull off this upset here on the road.
Yeah.
Just not a good second half for Tennessee. I feel like they had a lot of penalties that killed them. They just didn't look like a Tennessee team.
Yeah, I know a lot of Tennessee fans are complaining about the refs, but it's just Tennessee.
Well,
fans.
I mean, the press conference. What's his name?
Heupel.
What's his name? He was asked the question, and he was like, didn't answer it because they were talking about the officiating. Is that a good enough answer for you?
But if I told you before the game, Joe Milton would go for 271 and 2 touchdowns, they would have no turnovers.
I was just about to say that Joe Milton played the better quarterback, but Bama defense in the second half
just turned it on.
Just came out and literally didn't let them get a first down. They got a couple.
It was a complete coaching mismatch in the second half.
It was.
Nick Saban went to work, man.
It was.
And
Bama's showing the ability to win. What's really cool about this year in college football is you got your teams that are going to score a bunch.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, these college defenses are starting to look different.
They're really starting to like, and it's happening in the NFL too. Scoring the NFL is down this year.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's so many dudes on the D line.
100%.
Alabama.
100%.
And having the best corner in the country out there is, not too bad either.
Yeah, it helps.
Got anything, Tanner?
No, I think I'm good there.
Yeah.
I want to go to FSU Duke. First, I want to shout out all my mom's sorority sisters. They be tuning in. Shout out DG at FSU. My mom was telling me they all have a big group chat that they all text in. And they call my mom the coach because she's telling them exactly what they need to do.
Love.
Speaking of that, FSU 38, Duke 20. This game was a lot of fun in the first half.
Yeah.
It was one of the games I enjoyed watching the first half. Riley Leonard goes down, and Florida State did not look strong coming out. Jordan Travis had the pick six. Duke was really able to run the ball, and they went for it on fourth down a few times when they went, couldn't get it. And it's really, I don't know how to feel about FSU. They beat LSU, who's starting to look better every week, and they have a big bye week before Bama, by the way. But FSU, man,
they're a weird team.
It's a weird team because it's a lot of transfer portal guys, right? So some teams are just a bunch of players, right? And I'm not saying anything like that, but I'm watching the game. There's a lot of bad body language. There's a lot of whatever, but I mean, they're so talented. They're able to turn it on.
Yeah.
And James and I were talking about this at practice today. If the ACC starts to beat up on each other, because guess what? Everyone at FSU, remember 3 weeks ago, everyone was undefeated. Now everyone except for FSU has a loss. God forbid Duke wins out and then wins the rematch in the ACC championship, or Miami wins that.
ACC doesn't get
in. Same thing in the Pac-12. We'll move on to Utah USC. I know Tanner feels strongly about this one. I mean,
I want to say one more thing about Florida State. My only concern is that they've looked so sleepy in the first halves.
Yeah.
Like Duke was controlling that football game in the first half. And then again, they turned it on. And that's what good teams do, right? It's hard to play a good full game of football, but for the whole season they look sleepy.
Yeah.
But we can move on to Utah USC because that was a
great game. Utah, man, they're just a gritty team. Out-coached, honestly. Like, that Utah head coach, I don't know if you saw the clip, but they would, whenever USC would sub on offense, they'd throw the D tackle in because he'd take longer to get on the field and waste more clock. Yeah. Just a huge last-minute drive there to get in the field goal range, hit the field goal, get out of there with a win, and for Utah, it gets even harder this week. You got Oregon, so we'll see, man. Utah's scrappy, man.
What's so unbelievable about this Utah team is they're not even to their best.
Yeah.
Like, Cam hasn't played yet.
He's not playing. He's out for the year.
Yeah.
Out for the year, right? So they're 6-1, and they're going and winning these huge football games.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams cannot beat Utah.
He didn't throw a touchdown.
Can't beat Utah.
And it's not like he was terrible. And now there's this narrative going around, like, should he play the rest of the year? Like, yes, he should still play.
Yes,
he's there with your guys. I mean, we experienced it on a smaller level, but, it's a brotherhood in that locker room.
Yeah.
And if you leave like that, kind of shows the true colors.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll do that. I think he's a competitor.
Yeah.
But same thing with the ACC. The Pac-12 is really going to beat up on each other. Now coming up, College game day is coming down. Utah got Oregon. They still got to go to Washington.
These Pac-12 schedules are disgusting.
What if Utah beats Oregon, loses to Washington, and then beats them back around in the Pac-12 championship? 2-loss Utah, not getting in. One loss Washington.
There's a team didn't even mention there that I think is
Oregon
flying under the radar. Is Oregon State.
I agree, but here's the thing: what Johnny says is perfect. With how good there's not one team in the Pac-12, and you might disagree with this, maybe you do too, that is just so much better than the others.
Yeah.
And because of that, they all play each other now.
And Oregon State's going to lose again. They messed up by losing that game to Washington State. It turned out to not be as good as we thought.
Yeah.
Because, Oregon State, do they play UCLA?
Yeah.
They have UCLA, Oregon. Do they avoid Washington? They avoid Washington.
I don't think it matters because at the end of the day, they're the way it's shaping up, there's probably a better chance that an ACC team gets in than a Pac-12 team because I truthfully don't see there being an unbeaten Pac-12 team just because of the fact is they're all so good and they're all so much like skill-wise together that they're just going to beat each other up.
And it's I hope they get a team in because the Pac-12 has been so fun.
And it's their last year, so
last
maybe
year
the committee is going to favor them even more. So maybe, but it's so interesting.
I want to talk about Washington, man. I know all especially people on the East Coast weren't up for this game. We were watching it. Just looked so bad. They played Arizona State. Arizona State is the worst team in the Pac-12, really by far. It's not necessarily close. Penix had 2 interceptions, just didn't look efficient. And then Arizona State went for it, up 1 in their own end. I thought it was 7-6.
It was 7-6.
They're up 1 in their own end. And Tanner and I are talking to each other like, why aren't they kicking the field goal? And then they throw a pick 6 and Washington takes over. Their coach said after the game, they don't have enough dudes to protect for a field goal. He literally goes, anyone that's 330 and up at Arizona State, come block for us on field goal.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And Washington almost lost to that team at home.
Yeah.
Not a good look for Washington.
Tanner and I talked about it. It's an Arizona State team that is a little better than the record, but it's.
I don't care.
It's still Arizona State.
I think I can get it. I just plan on getting in the Washington game a little bit down the road in this episode.
I think he's going to do that in shambles.
But here's the thing, and I'll talk about it because you brought up Penix. He is not the Heisman. I told Johnny. There is no way. He is not better than Jaden Daniels.
I agree with
Not even, dude. I'm going to read stats, okay? Because stats are what should drive this, okay? Penix, 70% completion, unbelievable, right? Jaden Daniels, 73%, okay? Penix, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Jaden Daniels, 25 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. What makes Jaden Daniels not as good in terms of the standings right now is they have 2 losses.
Exactly.
Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in college football, and I don't understand that he's not getting enough credit. Yeah. He's not getting enough attention. He will win the Heisman, because Penix has not had the signature moment, and Jaden Daniels just goes out there again. They pit Army, whatever, but you take care of business who's on the schedule.
I might take an Army over Arizona State.
62-0 is crazy.
I disagree in the fact that you said Penix doesn't have a signature moment and Daniels does. Penix led his team to a game-winning drive in the biggest game of their season.
And there's still a lot of time left. Caleb Williams didn't win the Heisman until championship weekend, right? Still a lot of time left. I agree with James that Jaden Daniels is not the best quarterback in football. I'd still take a few people over him. But right now, he's my Heisman, and he's being discredited because he's on a 2-loss team.
100%.
What he's doing, let's face it, against better defenses than the Pac-12.
Not even close.
Discounting Army.
Army, yeah.
But let's see.
We didn't even play like half the game.
Just off the top of the head, Missouri, Florida State, Ole Miss.
Yeah. And with games, and here's the thing, with huge games coming up.
So
Jaden Daniels is going to be able to really. So
they got the prime time.
I would really.
Game, so
there's so much value there. Like Jaden Daniels is going to win the Heisman. That's my firm belief.
Will win. So you think they're going to beat Bama?
I think here's the thing. Even if they lose to Bama,
a 3-loss team.
Dude, here's the thing. I don't care because he's not on a team like Troy. Like the number 1 running back in college football in yards is Troy.
When was the last time the dude that won the Heisman went to play in the Citrus Bowl?
Johnny Manziel.
But he was in a New Year's Six Bowl. They played
Jordan Lynch in 2014 for NIU.
Yeah, but he didn't win the Heisman.
No, he got 3rd in voting, which is pretty sick.
Yeah, but a 3-loss team won't win that.
No, I agree. But Jaden Daniels is a stud.
He's a stud,
and he's not going to get enough credit.
I would take him over Penix.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of you two. Tanner thinks Penix is the second coming. James. James is a joke. James is a little lower, and it's.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We have a few more games to hit on. First, we can go quick on this one. North Carolina upset by Virginia at home. Virginia is the ACC's equivalent to Arizona State. They're not good. They don't have an FBS win. And they go in and really, I was watching this game, highlights of this game, and North Carolina won the turnover battle, but they got dominated on the line of scrimmage by Virginia.
And Drake May played well, but again, they were not able to run the football at all.
Crazy.
At all.
I saw that. I was like, this is insane.
And I watched 2 Virginia games this year before this game.
They play hard, man.
They're a team that plays gritty football, but they're not good.
They're not good.
It's a bad loss for North Carolina. It's a bad loss for the ACC too.
It's my number 10. My number 10s are cursed. They always.
I put them in.
We were all in. We tried to give them respect.
But we're gonna move on because I've got one, I was wrong, I guess. I said Iowa could maybe get into a playoff if they just won a big game.
So they can still win the Big Ten championship.
That is the worst.
For what James was referring to.
No. Mail, put the clip, okay? It's
Mark Crawford steps up to the 5. High end over end punt. DeJean not going to touch it until now. Little spin down the sideline. Got some space. Here he comes. Cooper DeJean cuts it back. 25. He's got a chance. He scores.
It's not a fair catch. In no way, shape, or form is that a fair catch. Okay? And it cost Iowa an opportunity. I'm not saying they were going to do it, but it cost them an opportunity to do something special. Okay? This offense sucks. They're really bad. Even after the supposed fair catch, they had an opportunity to kick a field goal in the game. They just threw a pick. So whatever. But it is unbelievable that in 2023 the rules of football need to change. That it's human error. We make mistakes all the time, right? And the fact is, we have technology all around us. All the officials had to do, and they did review it, which is unbelievable.
Well, I don't think you can overturn that call.
How?
I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I'm an expert on NCAA rules.
But they need to change. And college football is a business, so the NFL needs to do the same thing. They need to change the rules. Technology is there for the usage.
They should be able
good.
to buzz down and be like, "Look,
Yeah.
that was a mistake. Go fix it."
Yeah. And you know what another mistake is? Why can't I challenge a play in the last 2 minutes of the game?
Stupid.
That is the stupidest rule in sports. The last 2 minutes of the game could be the most crucial.
Because it should immediately come from the booth.
Yeah, but you're going to let human error possibly dictate. First of all, it's not just the NFL players or the college players. When you have people that are betting on it, so in terms of like the national public being able to bet on things, and it's skewed by human error, that's not fair. It needs to change.
I didn't think it was the right call, but
It's not even close to the right call.
at the same time, like, score more than 10 points.
It's not the point.
Score more than
You do enough to win the football game.
The human error is apparent and it's bad and it's not going to be changed. We can sit up here and be like, well,
But it should.
it's not going
If MLB is talking about implementing robot umps,
it's not going to.
right? If they're implementing that, possibly, then change football.
Yeah.
But we don't need to talk. But it is. I hate Iowa. I hate them. But that is stupid, and it's the biggest mistake I've ever seen.
One final game. Miami-Clemson. Miami, gritty win.
Yeah.
It's a really big win for the program down there. Mario, they beat Clemson in overtime, 28-20. Kay Klubnik said after the game that he was just trying to make a play. And when a two-time national championship head coach tells you to hand the ball off,
You hand the ball
hand the ball off.
Yeah.
Now, who knows if the running back gets in? Who knows if they get? But really bad loss for Clemson. I mean, they've won 10 games the past decade every year, and
Got 3 losses.
Yeah, they have 3 losses. They're probably not going to get there this year. Still got Notre Dame, and they have another tough one on their schedule.
Yeah, Notre Dame this week.
Yeah, and North Carolina. That's this week or after a bye?
After a bye.
After a bye. But yeah, just really big one for the program, Miami. And then, do you guys want to get in the top 10?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let me go first.
Yeah, go crazy.
I just always go last.
Yeah, you go first. I'll go second. Johnny go last.
We'll switch it up. I'll start off my honorable mentions here. Missouri, Penn State, Oregon State just missed my top 10 this week. At 10, I'm going with Utah. Big road win. Gritty football team. They have more than just that win on their plate this year. So give me the Utes. 9, I got Bama jumping back into my top 10 after beating Tennessee. And at 8, I got Texas. So Texas is getting a little bit shaky here. They almost lost to Houston.
Quinn Ewers is out for 2 weeks.
So,
maybe
yeah.
even more. James, what do you got?
Yeah, I have the same 8-9, but Oregon State at my 10. I just think they're really finding themselves. But again, it's hard to put a Pac-12 team in there just because there's so much ball left.
I will say I think my 10 is cursed. That's why I kept them out because they also play the biggest trap game ever this week at Arizona.
Yeah,
so
facts.
Oregon State, Bama, Texas.
I have Utah, and I know Oregon State beat Utah, which I don't know. Maybe I should have Utah or Oregon State, but it's just really impressive what they've been able to do, beating Florida, USC, and these a lot of good wins. 9 I have Oregon. These keep rolling. 8 I have Alabama. We've talked about them enough. I'll keep going. 7 I have Texas. Again, barely swept by Houston. Quinn Ewers is out, so we'll see how that goes. 6 I have Oklahoma. Bad performance by Oklahoma. Sleepwalks, played UCF, who doesn't have a win in the Big 12 yet, and took him down to the wire. And not a good look for Oklahoma. But hey, I'll give everyone some leeway on a game like that. They're not going to be perfect every week. They won. That's the big deal. And 5, I have Washington. Out of the big major Power 5 teams that are undefeated, I firmly believe that all of them would beat Washington. Just not a good showing for Washington. But that being said, they won. And there's more stuff to learn out of a win than out of a loss. So yeah, Washington at 5.
All right, so at 7, I have Oregon. I think they're still very complete, and they can still do something special. I'm excited to watch Washington. They're still there at my, I guess it's 6. Yeah, so 6. Not high on Washington. Haven't been since the jump, and I don't think. I'm not even gonna say it. Penix is good. He's very good. He's great, but he's just not doing enough for me to put him ahead. And then Oklahoma at 5.
At 7, I got Oregon. Still impressed with them. We'll see. They got Utah this week. Can't wait for that one. 6, I got Oklahoma. Struggle bus this week. I feel like a lot of teams struggled this week in college football. It was a weird week. It was not a straightforward week in college football. But when is it ever? So Oklahoma squeaks by UCF. I got Florida State at 5. I didn't really get into them earlier because I wanted to talk about it now. I think if Riley Leonard doesn't go down, I think Florida State loses that game. They were in some big time trouble until Duke's quarterback got hurt. And Riley Leonard is a really good player for Duke. Do I go into my 4?
Yeah, go ahead.
At 4, I got Washington. I didn't want to drop them. Here's the thing. Washington's on a 13-game win streak. That doesn't happen by accident in college football. It's the second longest streak right now in the sport. And their last loss was actually at Arizona State. So that's a team that beat them last year, that same Arizona State team. I know it was ugly. I know they played terribly. But apparently Arizona State's their kryptonite. They got past it.
Dropped them.
On to the next.
Dropped them. Wow. 3,
I got Georgia. Brock Bowers is out. Still got my concerns. Big game against Florida this year. Florida technically ranked 26th, receiving the most votes. 2, I got Michigan. And number 1, I got Ohio State. No 2 better wins than the Buckeyes right now in college football. They got some injuries. They got a trap game this week at Wisconsin. Then they got a bye. So if they can get past Wisconsin, I think Ohio State's looking really good.
Yeah, I have Florida State at 4. They're still scary. They still scare me in terms of can they go and win the ACC. But, I mean, they're very good offensively, but they just struggle in those first halves. Ohio State at 3. Again, I don't disagree with what you said, and it doesn't surprise me they're year 1. They do have the 2 best wins in college football, but I just don't think they're better than Michigan or Georgia. Again, I really want to put Michigan at 1 because they are so good. They are so good, and their defense again is just one of the most underrated in football. But Georgia, again, if you don't lose, I'm not going to bump you. So.
Highlight what Michigan's doing. Like, they're playing all these weak teams, but they were destroying them.
Yeah.
Like, Washington played a weak team, hung around. A lot of these teams, Oklahoma played a weak team, let them hung around.
Do you know how hard it is to not allow a single point in college football?
It's hard.
Especially to a team like Michigan State. Again, they're not very good, but they still have dudes.
I think they're very bad.
Purdue goes in there in 2 weeks, and I will be screaming up and down if we score points.
Yeah, it's bad. 4, I have Florida State. 3, Ohio State. Don't really got to talk about that much. 2, Michigan. Again, just dominant. 1, I have Georgia. A trivia question. Who was the last team to beat Georgia in the regular season?
Probably Florida.
Florida in 2020.
They're a Florida guy.
Florida in 2020. Bama beat them in the SEC.
Don't care.
That's a lob. That's
I don't care.
Just a fun one. And we're going to go straight into NFL. We're not wasting any time here. First, let me talk about the Bucs real quick. These were the Bucs that I expected. Again, when they were winning, I never got too high on them. But with that being said, just an embarrassing performance at home. Desmond Ridder is not good. Okay, granted, he had 2 very good balls on that final drive to get him in the field goal range. He fumbled twice within the 1-yard line.
Yeah.
Can't happen with an NFL quarterback. He's not really a threat as a thrower. He's more of a threat as a runner than he is a thrower. Mayfield was actually fine. He threw for 270, a touchdown. The 1 pick he had was egregious, though. You take away Mayfield's 31-yard scramble at the end of the game, 42 yards rushing, 2.2 yards per carry. It's bad. Yeah. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I mean, the defense is doing everything they can.
I feel like the Falcons. Sorry to interrupt. I feel like the Falcons were able to establish a run game this week too.
But that was only because the defense was on the field for so long. I mean, you look at the first 3 quarters, the Falcons couldn't run the ball. I mean, without any consistency. The 4th quarter, they started gashing them, and the defense could only be on the field for so long. Just really bad on the Bucs. And that if they win that game, I saw on the ESPN thing, they have a 79% chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, because the division is so bad.
You take a stranglehold of that terrible division. No one in this division should be allowed to play.
No, they should literally cancel.
They're terrible. If I'm the Bucks, I don't know. You go to Buffalo on a Thursday. The Bills suck, but I'll tell you what a get-right game for the Bills to get the Bucks rolling into town.
Yeah.
But I just don't really know where to turn, man. Their schedule turned out to be pretty favorable, but you have to win that game.
I
have to win that.
I have my questions
home,
right now.
like,
If you had to pick a winner in that division right now, who would you pick? Because
I would literally pass.
I would pull one out of a hat.
I would pass. I would pass the question.
I don't think that I would still go with the Saints. I don't think the Falcons are going to win.
I have a note somewhere. I guess I don't have my NFL sheet, but the Saints suck.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I was super high on them.
So it's like Derek Carr just doesn't look good.
But what is going on? Derek Carr has transferred into one of the worst quarterbacks in football.
Bad.
They've got dudes like Alvin's hooping, like he's playing well.
Yeah.
Like Michael Thomas is playing
fine. Yeah.
Back to Michael Thomas football,
Yeah.
but the defense is not as impressive as I thought. And that's why when you ask me the question, I would pass.
Yeah. One last note on the Bucks. We talked about it on the preseason. Todd Bowles is an incredible coordinator, not a good head coach.
Yep.
The Bucks had the ball inside the 10-yard line with a minute left. Falcons have 3 timeouts. First down and goal. You have to run the ball one time there.
Yep.
Have to. Make them use time. That has to be the last possession of the game, or they have to get it with under 20 seconds left.
Yep.
It can't happen. They get it with 45 seconds left. It's just really bad clock management. And Dave Canales, who's been fine to start, just bad. With that many weapons, you should not be scoring 13 points. 6 and 13 points back-to-back games. With the amount of talent on that offense, with the best tackle in football, Tristan Wirfs, Mike Evans is a stud, Chris Godwin is a stud, it can't happen.
All right, so I wrote down an NFL top 5, and I'm trying to get these guys going a little bit here.
I thought we were talking about the Bears.
So we'll go with the Bears. But we'll let them rip me apart on this top 5. Again, this is my rankings. I'm gonna elevator pitch number 5 here. So this team has played the 49ers. They've beaten the Browns. They've beaten the Ravens. They went on the road and beat the Rams.
Oh, here's the Steelers.
Pittsburgh Steelers are number 5 team in the NFL.
They played the 49ers?
And they beat the Ravens. They beat the Browns.
Are the Lions on your top 5? Okay.
Did you know the Bears played the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bucks played the Eagles.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So they don't like the Steelers at number 5.
I hate it.
I could have liked a lot more, but what? Congratulations. Here's a round of applause. You beat the Los Angeles Rams.
Beat the Rams is because Pickett was short on the fourth.
Short.
And then
they gave him the
because they
first
didn't have
down.
any timeouts, they could not challenge.
Which again is the stupidest rule in football.
And we're not saying
he was short by a yard.
We're not saying the Rams would have scored, but God, if you're telling me that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be in top 5 team, means you're expecting them to be in the divisional round.
Yeah, I was about to say, come talk to me when the Steelers have a home playoff game.
Holy crap.
It's Mike Tomlin.
Wait,
I said
do you have
a week ago?
Okay.
I said a week ago that the Lakers take was the worst take on Banter.
No, it wasn't.
This
The Iowa playoff
blows it out of the water.
The
How
Iowa
bad
playoff
it
thing
is.
was way worse.
This is not a fair catch, okay?
My thing with the Steelers, man, I had them winning this
I
division.
didn't say they were going to make
the
a playoff. I said they could. Imagine a world where they do.
Yeah,
you said Lakers are going to win the West.
I didn't say that. I didn't say. I said the Lakers are going to be the 1 seed, and there was way more of a world where the Lakers are the 1 seed than Iowa football is in the playoff.
Or the Steelers as the 5th best team in the NFL.
All right, who's your
Move to your 4, because hopefully we can agree with this.
4 is the 49ers.
Oh, it's way too low.
49ers are the best.
They haven't played
football.
this week. I got to see them first.
What do you mean you wanted to see them? You saw them for 6 weeks.
They have CMC, George Kittle,
See them do what?
Great. This is awesome.
See them where?
This is
What do you mean you have to see
This
them?
is bad.
This is
Tanner.
television.
This is bad.
Wait, I'm serious.
No.
What do you mean by you have to see them?
I want to see what they do on Monday night. I want to see how they respond to a loss. Number 3, I have the Baltimore
Exactly.
Ravens.
Your keyword there is a loss.
Here's the thing: the Ravens are a really good football team.
I agree
and
with the Ravens being in the top
They
5.
looked very good, and I agree. But there's no reason that they should be above the 49ers.
Yeah, I agree with that. But then
These are my power rankings, and you guys are reacting.
If the Ravens receivers didn't forget how to play football, they would have beat the Steelers.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
2, I got the Eagles.
Do you still have the Dolphins at 1?
No.
Here's the.
Oh, you're telling me the Steelers are better than the Dolphins?
The Steelers might have the 2 best wins in the NFL. The Dolphins haven't beaten anybody.
The 2 best wins in the NFL.
They beat the Browns. They beat the Ravens.
When the Steelers come off a bye, are you gonna
The
rank
Browns.
them?
The Browns are a good team.
As one of the best wins in football.
They're in my honorable. The Browns have beaten a lot of good. The Browns just beat the Niners.
Dude. You can't say that's one of the best wins when we just watched Philly play the Dolphins last night.
I think the Dolphins are very good, but the quality of wins on their schedule right now
I don't
is not stacked
I
up
don't
to these
disagree.
other
I'm a
teams.
big hater on Miami, but they're better than the Steelers. You gonna take Tyreek Hill or any one of the Steelers?
I like George Pickens.
I think
I don't.
He's fun.
the Steelers and Dolphins have the same amount of losses, and the Steelers have 2 very good wins, and the Dolphins, I don't think they have.
And
a
one of
quality
those teams set a scoring record in the NFL by scoring 70.
Another team
points.
hasn't scored more than 25 points.
Sorry, the Steelers haven't had a chance to play the Broncos yet. At 1, I got the Chiefs.
Broncos beat the
Okay, that's fine. Like the Chiefs are, they're raw.
The Eagles. You said the
They're
Eagles?
raw.
Eagles are 2. So what do we want to move on to? I mean,
The Bears.
Do we want to talk about the Bears?
I want to talk about something because I think the Bears right now are in a very interesting spot because Justin Fields is most likely not going to play this week. Didn't play last week, obviously. Tyson Bagent goes out there, gets a W against a very bad Raiders team.
It's Brian.
Okay, against a very bad Raiders team. But if Tyson Bagent goes out and hoops this week, here's the thing. You talk about elite quarterbacks. Tyson Bagent, no matter if he's going to be good or bad, will never be able to be an elite quarterback in the NFL. That's my take. I don't think he can be elite.
It's a phenomenal take.
I'm not watching Justin
Phenomenal
Fields,
take.
and I don't think he can be elite. So my concern with the Bears
If Justin Fields could be
is
elite, they'd have
even
won
if
2
we
wins.
win,
Bro,
right?
Don't get me riled up.
Even if we win, we have to draft a quarterback, and I'm done with the Fields. I'm done with him.
Yeah, and that's
I'm officially off the Justin Fields
If-
train. If he comes back and he hoops, fantastic. But Tyson Bagent showed that maybe it's not necessarily a system issue.
That's what I'm saying. The
They were
Bears-
able to run a screen properly on Sunday.
The Bears lost 16 straight games.
Yep,
Who's the quarterback to those games?
Justin Fields.
And I'm not saying it's all on him, but there is a reason. If he was an elite quarterback, Tanner, he would have won one of those games. If he was an elite quarterback, he'd won more than half of those games.
Yeah. He's
Oh,
too
I
busy
have so
running on
many-
top of Dunkin' Donuts.
I have
right
so
now.
many facts, stats to back
Go
up
ahead.
my.
I will let you
I
talk
don't-
for 5 minutes
I don't
straight.
care about
and
any
defend
other-
Justin Fields.
I don't care about any other
Defend
argument.
Justin Fields. Find a
I
way to
can't.
defend
I
Justin
don't,
Fields.
I don't care about.
He
any other-
doesn't win football games.
Yes, I don't care about any other argument.
Oh my
when you
God.
lose.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
In 16 straight games, the Bears gave up more than 25 points and were averaging giving up 35 points per game.
Elite
All
quarterback
right,
score.
all right. He did score. Justin Fields, 2 straight games, threw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns.
2
all right?
straight games?
And he has 1 mediocre game, and we're ready to give up on him.
He
All
was
right.
below
Here's,
the level.
here's what the Bears defense has done the last 3 games: 20 points, 19 points, 12 points. They have 2 wins. One of them was Bagent, the other one was Fields. But the narrative of he can't win, or the narrative of we're ready to give up, after he just threw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in back-to-back games. And now it's the first time the Bears defense is actually competent, and we're starting to win games, but we're ready to give up on Fields.
Tanner,
here's the thing.
you said in 2 games he lost 16 in a row. So those
His
2
defense
games,
gave up 35 points per
That can't
game.
happen
In
in the
those
NFL
16
because
games.
half the games we're talking about last year, and again, we watched them all together. Think about how many close football games the Bears had, where the Bears had the football the last 2 minutes, and he couldn't get the job done. We were at one of the games, the Thursday night game against the Commanders. He drives it down to the 5-yard line, and again, we should have ran the ball. Part of it's play calling, but he can't make a pass. Equinemius St. Brown was open. I can vividly remember it because it was a nightmare for me. But I'm telling you, I don't think Justin Fields sucks. But when you're in a position, and this is why the Bears situation is so interesting, when you have 2 first-round picks and there's so much elite quarterback play in this draft, sometimes you're just going to have to bite the loss and get rid of Fields.
My final 2 closing points. The first one is Pat Mahomes, best quarterback in the game, right? So someone went through and said if the Chiefs defense gave up an average of 35 points per game, just like the Bears did in real life, guess what his record would have been?
Dude.
2-14.
But Mahomes would have been able to
Two
go out
games
there and
better.
play. Like Mahomes has shown the ability to go out and win football games. Justin Fields, has he had a game-winning drive?
No.
Oh, exactly. But Mahomes has.
Here's my point. Here's my final closing point on this argument.
All right. I'm holding you to
Lance
this final
Briggs,
one.
Brian Urlacher,
Yep.
Mike Singletary,
Greats.
all includes greats
Bears
in the
greats.
Bears organization.
Yep.
They have played on Sundays.
Mhm.
They know what it takes to win.
Yep.
What is their opinion? Justin Fields is the guy moving forward.
So
and the
defensive-
Bears need to not get another quarterback
So guys
and go through
who
it
play
again.
defense
And they need to
in
build
the
in the
NFL,
trenches.
We are
quarterback
done
play?
talking about the Bears.
No,
We're
you
gonna
brought up
move on.
Lance Briggs and
We're
Brian
gonna-
Urlacher, who were his two linebackers.
They know
And
more than us. They played on the NFL field.
I'd rather maybe
They're NFL Hall
I
of
want to hear
Famers.
from Jay Cutler.
Devin
Jay
Hester.
Cutler, what do you think of?
Devin
What do you
Hester.
think of Justin Fields?
All right,
sure he agrees.
we're moving on to other games. I want to talk about the Bills. Next to the Bills,
Are there any other games that matter?
I want to talk about the Bills. The Bills have a sad face
Oh,
right next to them.
shambles.
They almost lost to Tyrod Taylor. They have lost to Zach Wilson and Mac Jones. Just really not good. The Bills are not good. Just
Yeah.
bad. The Ravens look good. Eagles bounce back. Those are kind of my takeaways from the weekend. And then we can get in, if you guys don't want to talk about any more games, we can get
No,
into
I want to talk about the Sunday night game because
Yeah.
I think, again, I talked about it before. I think the Eagles are the most complete team in football. Okay, well, undoubtedly, in my opinion. You add Julio Jones. You know.
Hey, we said that about the Bucs last
exactly.
year, and they
You
added
give me-
Julio Jones.
You
and
give
they
me
won
those
7
faces,
games.
I don't care because you know what? He's a fifth option.
It's good.
Smith,
It's good.
Brown, Goddard, Swift, Julio Jones. If Julio Jones was your fifth, would you take it?
He was the
I think
Bucs
he's
fifth
pretty
last
washed,
year.
but, I mean,
He was.
You're right. He's washed, but again,
Trust
like
me, I saw the Julio Jones experiment firsthand.
he hooped
No, he didn't.
for the first half.
He hooped for a game.
Nah, first half. He
James,
was,
I watched
for a guy that was just
He was
sitting
hurt
on his
the whole
couch
time.
on a Monday, then he gets a call from Philly. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna sign you."
I'm saying I saw the Julio Jones experiment firsthand last year. He'll still
a
be
bad
competent,
experiment.
and it's not.
I
When you're
don't.
trying to win a Super Bowl,
It's
you
not.
try to get as many pieces
That's
as
true.
you can.
Dude, that's very right. And the Bucs did it for years. I want to get into my would you rather question real quick. Would you rather have Jordan Love as your franchise quarterback for the next 3 years, or Mac Jones?
They're just so. They're
That's
both.
just so bad.
They're
Like,
both
it's
so bad. I can answer. I want neither, but Jordan Love. The reason I say Jordan Love is because he's just younger and he's seen.
Is he younger? I think they're on the same age.
No, I think he's
They
one
were in the
year-
same
I
exact
think he's.
draft,
I think he's just a year younger, maybe. Doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't care if they're the same age. Mac Jones has shown enough that he can't be elite,
Yeah.
and Jordan Love hasn't. He's had some promising moments, but again, he watched Aaron Rodgers play for years, and I think
he's not really mimicking him.
no, not at all. He's trying to
He
do
lost to the
sidearm
Broncos.
passes and
the
everything.
Bears almost beat the Broncos. So I know they're bad.
Everything we say, it comes back to bite us. But I just think Mac Jones is really, really bad. I think Mac Jones is one of the worst quarterbacks.
I'll tell you what, he played good.
But he played
yesterday.
very well this
Played
week.
very
So
well.
it's a harder question to answer, but Jordan Love I'd rather have.
So I have two reasons here. One, Mac Jones has been to the playoffs before as a starting quarterback.
True.
Two, I don't think the Packers have an insane amount of skill
No.
on offense,
No, they're bad.
but it is 10 times better than the skill on the Patriots
Yeah.
offense. And for that reason, I think I would take Mac Jones. I've not been impressed with Jordan Love at all. Granted, he hasn't had much playing time.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think Jordan Love is very bad. I mean, he just got ripped apart by that Raiders defense. The same Raiders defense
And the
that
Broncos.
Tyson
Badgett.
Badgett
And the Broncos.
All right, so my would you rather question is kind of piggybacking off the Sunday Night Football game. Two quarterbacks. Would you rather have Tua or Jalen Hurts?
I'll go first on this one. And I had that take the other day that Jalen Hurts isn't a top 3 quarterback. And I kind of had made the inclination that Tua might be. And for this season, Tua's been playing better than him. I'll say he's been playing better. Jalen Hurts has 4 interceptions out of the last 2 games. And his one last night was not good. It was a pick 6. But Jalen...
That was a batted ball.
Yeah, but you... all over him.
It was a batted ball. Come on. Don't blame that on Jalen Hurts.
I'm picking Jalen Hurts because of his physical presence. Tua can't scramble around like Jalen Hurts can.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts can make almost every throw, but then he's so good off script. That throw he had to A.J. Brown off script, I think it was late in the second quarter,
Yeah.
big time throw. Very few people in the NFL can make that throw. They're very close to me because Tua's accuracy almost puts it above that.
Yeah.
But because of the playmaking off script that Jalen Hurts can do, I'd pick Jalen Hurts.
I would go Jalen Hurts as well. I think Tua, I think the receivers around him and Mike McDaniel make him better than what he is. Granted, I think Tua's really good still. I think Jalen Hurts, I agree with the athletic ability. I think his physical presence, being able to run around and be more mobile, is a big deal because I think in terms of throwing the ball, especially downfield, I think they're very similar. I think if you switched receiving course, Jalen Hurts would be on a whole nother level than he already is.
I think A.J. Brown, he's not as good as Tyreek Hill. I think A.J. Brown's right
He's
there.
still really good.
AJ Brown's
But Tyreek Hill is in his own team.
Tyreek Hill is the best receiver in football.
Yeah.
He's unreal. Yeah, that's a good take. I like Jalen.
What do you got?
So my would you rather, and shout out to Jackson. He's a listener of ours, good friend of ours,
Big
teammate,
supporter.
big supporter.
He's going to be on here one day.
He commented too. So if you have a would you rather that you would want us to look
Yes,
at,
go
feel free to leave a comment.
either here on our YouTube or on our Instagram at Backyard Banter.
So this was a comment he left. So I stole it for my would you rather. If/when the Bears have the #1 overall pick, what should they do? What would be a good trade package for Justin Fields, and what would be a good trade package for the #1 pick? Take it away.
Okay. It all depends on how the Bears finish. If the Bears finish with 5 wins and Justin Fields continues to look inadequate at quarterback, or not even inconsistent is a better word, you would be very much hard pressed to not pick the best quarterback talent since Andrew Luck. It's just very hard for you to pass on that, to be the team that passes on Caleb Williams. And I think if Justin Fields plays average the rest of the way, I know Tanner wants 2 first-round picks for him. I think you'd be lucky to get a second-round pick for him, maybe a player. But I always say you need difference makers at quarterback. Justin Fields can be a difference maker. We've seen it. But it all depends on the season. If they go out and win 7-8 games and still have the Panthers pick #1, then you stay with them. If they win 5 or fewer games, I take Caleb Williams and I don't look back. As for the trade for the #1 pick, with the Caleb Williams draft, I mean, you're looking at least 3 first-round picks to really even get me talking about that.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
It's a great question.
It's an interesting spot the Bears are in because you cannot pass up a talent,
Yeah.
even if Caleb Williams sucks, even if he ends up being the worst #1 pick ever overall, you still have to do it because other teams were going to do it anyway. This isn't like we're going to pick Patrick Mahomes as a sleeper pick, right? You have to draft Caleb Williams. But I totally agree with Johnny. If we can't find ways to win because this defense is starting to play well, the offensive line is starting to play well, the offensive weapons are there for Justin Fields to win football games, especially in this upcoming schedule that we have. If there's no reason why we can't win games. So if he comes back and gets healthy and starts playing well, then fine, keep him, okay? But I'm telling you, he's got to play great. He's got to play great. There's no more mediocre. There's no more 220 yards passing and sneaking by a win.
Yeah,
right? I need him to play elite football, and he's got to know that because otherwise, if you're not elite, I don't even care what we get for the trade because here's the thing. I don't think it's going to matter. I mean, you want to make sure you used your 11th pick overall, right? But if he doesn't play great, you have to draft Caleb Williams and hopefully get a late first-round pick, early second-round pick in this upcoming draft.
I have one more. If the Bears somehow they come out and win 7 games, 8 games, maybe be the last playoff seed in the NFC. So huge ask, right? As a 10% chance, maybe lower of that happening. Imagine the way you could set up your franchise if Justin Fields shows out and he's your quarterback to set up your franchise if you trade that.
That's why me getting rid of Justin Fields in my brain, if he comes back, I'm perfectly okay with that because imagine a team that sneaks into the playoffs and then next thing you know, you've got the #2 overall pick, maybe #1, and then you've got a 10th.
But if it's
you set yourself up for a dynasty.
Yeah, but if it's the same Justin Fields that was coming in this year, even just a little bit better,
totally agree.
It's not good enough.
I totally agree.
I mean, it was my
comparison though. A comparison. What does he have to play like for you to keep him?
Well, I was going to get into it because it technically was my question, but I'm going to answer it for Jackson as well. I think that, in my opinion, the Bears would be closer to winning if they stuck with Fields and got rid of the #1 pick than if they tried to trade Fields and draft a quarterback. I feel like you're resetting everything if you do that.
You do.
My opinion on the Bears is the defense is getting better. Keep building the trenches, right? Like, if we are playing better week to week, which we have over the last 4 weeks, keep building off that, get more pieces in, build the trenches. That is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
If you have the number 1 pick, if the Bears have the number 1 pick right now, what I would do is I would trade it. You would think about the teams that are there. Raiders, Cardinals, Patriots, maybe you would want it.
A lot of people.
If say it's the Raiders, give me Max Crosby, 3 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks.
You trade to build your D-line.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You trade to build your D-line. It's a great question, so shout out to Jackson.
Really good question.
I would hate to be in the position.
Especially if Justin Fields plays.
100%. If he plays mediocre, now we're in a whole nother ballgame.
All right, we're going to move on to legendary and its shambles. I want to go first. You briefly talked about the Browns being one of their first teams out. My legendary is Myles Garrett. 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 field goal block.
Man.
He's too big to be doing that.
He's one of the best players in football.
He's
Top 5 player in
athletic,
football.
yeah.
What do you got, James?
He's awesome. But my legendary is the win of Ohio State. I think
huge.
I wasn't big on them to start the season, and it's a big win against Penn State. That defense is really showing out.
You got T started.
Oh man, all mine are still out there. I'm gonna go with my boy Kyle Schwarber. Just broke the MLB record for most home runs out of all left-handed batters in the postseason. He is killing it. He's got 5 home runs this series. 5 games.
He's huge. And we'll talk more about baseball next episode. It's just the series are still going on as we're recording this. You may know who's in the World Series.
Yeah.
So what's your shambles, Tim?
Man, this is tough. I'm gonna go Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. You can't lose to the Patriots. Just not. I don't care if it's a road division game. You're supposed to be a Super Bowl contending team. You have to win that game. And Josh Allen, everybody has him as a top tier quarterback. You know, he takes the Chiefs to overtime. He plays in fun games. But at the end of the day, he's losing to Zach Wilson and Mac Jones. He's throwing a lot of picks.
We'll see. It's early.
It's early, but I've not been impressed with Josh Allen so far.
One quick thing. You just stealing that from the thing. Jackson sent Tanner and I something about how Josh Allen gets credited because he made one overtime. We don't have time.
It's not just that. But I think he is overrated.
Clemson is my shambles. What are you doing? If you're,
Cade
Klubnik, you are being coached by Dabo Sweeney, who's won national championships. If he tells you to hand the football off, like you said, I'm not gonna. It's not.
I don't care about your instincts. Your instincts weren't good enough.
Your instincts were wrong, flat out wrong. Hand the football off. I think Clemson should have won that game.
Yeah.
I'm a little upset because now the Notre Dame Clemson game isn't as big, but whatever.
My shambles, North Carolina. Have to win that game at home. Huge loss for the ACC.
Yeah.
Just huge for North Carolina. One of the best teams they've had in a very long time.
Yep.
Huge loss for North Carolina. That's legendary and shambles. If you guys made it this far, please like the video, subscribe, share it. We're approaching 150 subscribers, which is crazy. Just keep sharing it with people. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, all the socials, and we will see you on Friday.
See ya.